I'm waiting for some more people to come in. Are you ready? Good morning, everyone. Our executive dean was unable to attend today's ceremony, but asked that I read her sentiments on this special day. Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry that I can't be with you today as we honor our American veterans here at the Venango campus of Clarion University. I would like to welcome our special guest today, Jas Booth. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here. I can't begin to imagine the challenges our airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guard service members have faced in times of war and in peace. I feel fortunate that we have men and women willing to serve in our military. I say thank you to all who currently serve, have served, and have given their lives for us. Thank you is such a simple phrase, but I say it with the utmost respect and gratitude. I'd like to quickly thank those who helped with today's event: the Venango College Veterans Club, Mark Conrad, Daley Fuller, the club advisors, the staff at Venango campus, and Major Walker for providing the cannon salute at the conclusion of today's program. Thank you, everyone. I would like to now welcome to the podium Eric Decker, Staff Sergeant, United States Air Force Reserves and Venango Veterans Club Vice President, to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Mark Conrad. I'm the advisor to the Veterans Club on this campus, and I couldn't be more proud of the group today. They put in a lot of hours on this event, so I would like to thank each and every one of them. But we welcome all veterans, their families, and those who honor all veterans for our third annual Flag for the Fallen ceremony. Today we honor all veterans, but I think we often recall those of an earlier era, those of the World War II. My father, who was a World War II veteran, would have been 101 years old this year. Many of his fellow comrades' ranks are much thinner now. Their headstones are marked with flags like the ones you see in this campus. Both are remembrances and a celebration of patriotism. The torch of service is passed to a new generation of veterans. They have served in the wars in the Middle East and served stateside as protectors of the war on terrorism. I have the privilege of introducing Kelly Richard, a retired technical sergeant of the United States Air Force. She is now pursuing a rehabilitative sciences degree so she can continue to serve others in need of care and comfort. Please join me in welcoming Kelly Richard.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to welcome Jas Booth in honoring us today. Jas founded Final Salute Incorporated in November 2010 as part of her commitment to never leave a fallen comrade. Throughout her military career, she was dedicated to working with and advocating for soldiers and their family members. In 2005, she was a single parent in the Army Reserves living in New Orleans. This spring, she learned she would soon be deploying to Iraq, and then a few months later, she lost everything she owned due to Hurricane Katrina. She tried to shift her focus to her platoon that was counting on her for leadership in the combat zone. Excuse me. The very next month, in September, she received a devastating diagnosis of an aggressive head, neck, and throat cancer and was now unable to deploy. Her options were limited and posed some very hard choices. Because of her illness, she was discharged from the military, but she needed complex, full-time medical care, employment, and a place to live with her young son. When searching for assistance, she was told there was no existing programs for women veterans with children. She found these options unacceptable. This led to her starting Final Salute. She was determined to ensure her fellow sister veterans had a resource in their time of need. She also wanted to ensure they were treated with the dignity and respect they had earned under extremely severe circumstances. Final Salute has raised over $1 million to support homeless veterans, women veterans, and their children, and has assisted over 900 women, veterans, and children. Jas also founded Ms. Veteran America Competition, honoring the women beyond the uniform and highlighting the service and sacrifice of every woman that has worn the U.S. military uniform. Jas has been honored for her leadership and community service, including the Oprah Winfrey Standing Ovation recipient, American Veterans Center Lillian Keel Award, Women's Contributions to the Military, CNN Hero, People Magazine Hero Among Us, YWCA Women of Distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, Jas Booth. As soon as I can get this.
Please welcome Jas Booth.
Jas Booth. And let's see why Jas deserves a standing ovation. One day, while watching the Oprah show, Jas says she had an aha moment.
The Oprah show had a homeless veteran who was living in her car.
So does it make you feel angry after all you've done for this country?
And I immediately felt outrage. Like, how are we as Americans letting this happen?
So, Jas made a bold move.
This is Jas Booth with Final Salute.
Within hours of that show, Jas laid the groundwork for an organization she called Final Salute. In just 3 years, Jas and her team have supported more than 300 women and children in 15 states.
From Hayes Market, Virginia, Jas Booth. So what does it mean for you to be a mom?
I will tell you, with my oldest son, I was a single mother, and there are so many negative stereotypes that come along with that. But I'm very proud to say that I didn't raise a gangbanger, I didn't raise a drug dealer, I raised a patriot.
Yes.
And I'm very proud.
You're making me cry. Please, Jas, please accept this Unstoppable Mom trophy on our behalf. Not just for your family, but for so many families that you have helped. You really are a remarkable woman.
I'm Anderson Cooper. All year we've been introducing you to some truly remarkable people. We call them CNN heroes. Everyday people changing the world.
My name is Jas Booth. I'm a captain in the Army National Guard, and it's my mission to get homeless female veterans and their children back on their feet. In 2005, I was called up to serve in Iraq. During my mobilization, I lost everything in Hurricane Katrina, and the that very next month, I was diagnosed with aggressive stage 2 cancer.
That was a very rough time in my life, but the worst part is being told that as a female veteran, there was nothing for you if you needed it. The thing that drove me is that I had a son who's dependent on me. And also, as a soldier, you're taught to never accept defeat. So one way or another, I was going to get back to where I needed to be to take care of both of us.
It wasn't until I relocated to DC that I started to hear about homeless female veterans. That's when I decided to found an organization that would house them and their children. I started to look for resources for women veterans and their children, and there were none. Absolutely one resource. I felt forgotten.
A story about a local veteran doing everything she can to help other vets.
I don't know where I was going to stop, but I just had to keep fighting because no one else is fighting for these women. I'm here to keep homeless women, veterans, and their children in their homes. I'm not here representing a company. I'm not trying to turn a profit. I'm just trying to help them.
Homelessness and poverty are growing problems in the ranks of female veterans.
Jas Booth is championed for these women, believing no one who serves their country should be living on the streets alone.
I personally don't think you can do enough for a person who has raised their right hand and said, hey, I will die for anyone in the world, not just Americans.
So I created my organization, Final Salute, to honor that commitment and assist as many of my sisters as I can and their children to get off the street and back into independence.
This something go to the market. I have a job now. This is my space to prepare myself to be better. Jas set me up for success.
Paul and I left Naomi with Jas because she's proven time and time again that she's a trustworthy person. I could not think of a better family, a better role model, a better person to trust with my daughter.
What I do, it's the right thing to do as an American, and it's the right thing to do as a soldier.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would highly not recommend anyone take a 2-year-old girl into their home. It looks really good on camera, but not so much in real life. So I first want to thank the Finagle College Veterans Club, the faculty, staffs, and students for having me here and giving me this opportunity to speak. And I always like to see who is in the room, specifically service people. So I'm going to call you out by service. So if you're Army, can you either stand or raise your hand? Go Army. Who? All right. We have any Air Force in the room? Couple airmen. All right. Marines? No, they're out killing something? Okay, cool. Any Navy personnel here? No Navy? How about Coast Guard? No Coasties. All right, it's cool. I also want to send a special recognition to the women who serve. I don't think the women get enough recognition. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm a woman. But I will tell the men who are in uniform, who won a uniform, you cannot do your job without us. So people are all aware that it was SEAL Team 6 who captured bin Laden. but not many people know that a woman found him. So just keep that in mind. It truly takes a team. I won't be here tomorrow, so in advance, I want to thank all of my brothers and sisters who have served and who are currently serving, and I would like for everyone to give them a round of applause. So Oil City, I'll have to tell you that this is our first meeting, and it's a little awkward because I noticed that your state was red during the election, which means you voted to make America great again. And that's okay, because that's what makes our country great, the fact that we have the freedom to choose and have our say. And that is why I am honored to serve, because my family gets to maintain these freedoms because of our great men and women in the U.S. military. So again, I am Major Jas Booth. I am a 17-year Army veteran. I am currently a major serving in the Army Reserves. And as you can see, just about my entire family serves. I sent my husband, who is a former Marine, a text this morning and told him happy birthday because it's the Marine Corps' birthday today. My oldest son is an airman. He just returned back from deployment. He was in Kuwait having the time of his life. I remember FaceTiming him. It's really great to have technology these days, because back in the days when service members deployed, you would get a letter, and it would take forever to get that letter. So me and his little brother were able to FaceTime him, and I FaceTimed him one day, and I says, oh, well, he's a maintainer, so he works on aircrafts in the Air Force. And so I called him, I FaceTimed him and says, oh, well, what are you working on today? He was like, my abs. I'm like, what are you doing for your country, boy? But we as service members, we always tease each other, but there's nothing we wouldn't do for each other. So my 6-year-old, people always say, well, is he gonna go to the military? Is he gonna do the Navy? And I don't know what that kid's gonna do, but I think he's gonna be a lawyer. So I mentioned earlier that I'm married to a Marine. So the third floor in our house, the wall is painted completely yellow because he just wanted it that way. So my 6-year-old is in first grade now, and they start to write on everything. So he gets a red crayon, goes in the hall, and writes his name really big on the wall, and then calls me because he's proud of his work. So he says, Mom, come see this. I come into the hallway. And kids are really quick. He could see on my face that I was not pleased at all. And so I said, Jamel, did you do that? He looks at me, says no. I said, okay, well, what does it say? And he says, Jammel. It says Jamel. I said, okay, well, if you didn't do it, then who did? And he says, well, Mom, Dad's name is Jamel too. Did you ask him? So I had a couple of other engagements last night, yesterday. So I got in pretty late. I got in about 11:44, and I flew into Erie. And that's exactly what it felt like at about midnight coming into that airport. So on my way down here, I could have swore I saw like 3 Children of the Corn, the guy from Jeepers Creepers, and I'm pretty sure your heels have eyes. So sometimes cities have nothing to do with their names, but I did some research and I see that Oil City isn't such a place. I learned Oil City is the birthplace of Pennzoil, Quaker State, and Wolf's Head Motor Oil Companies, which are a pretty big deal. I'm from Chicago, and we are famous for Al Capone, John Dillinger, hot dogs and pizza. No oil, but that's cool. But what really caught my eye is your motto, a special blend of people. And that immediately reminded me of our nation's veterans. There is no one more special than someone who loves their country so much that they're willing to die for it. And because of that level of service and sacrifice, we must honor them. And that's the mission of the Venango Student Veterans Club, through Flags of the Fallen. There is a part of the Soldier's Creed called Warrior Ethos. The sentence that resonates with me most is to never leave a fallen comrade. Now, when you hear that, you immediately think of the soldiers who fall on the battlefield. But we don't often think of those soldiers who returned from the battlefield and fell at home. And I was one of those soldiers. So 2005, I was a lieutenant in the Army Reserves. I had just relocated to the Naval Support Activity in New Orleans, Louisiana, and my number came up. Hey, you're going to Iraq. You want a first-class round-trip ticket. And so I got my son situated with my, by first class, I mean C-130. So I got my son situated with my aunt in Missouri, and I went out to go and salute the flag. I had about 20 soldiers. All of them were very young. I had to meet all of their parents and their spouses and their children, and they all asked me to please bring them back safe. So that became my mission. In August of 2005, I was training at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, for a postal school. And one of my soldiers came to me and said, "Ma'am, did you know that a hurricane just hit New Orleans?" Well, people who are from that area never really get excited about storm systems because they happen so frequently that they just hunker down until it passes. But this storm happened to be a big deal because that hurricane was Hurricane Katrina. So my soldiers and I all went into the break room, and we basically watched on national TV as we lost everything that we owned. But the upside was most of their family members were safe. My son was safe, so there was nothing I could do about losing my personal effects. So I just decided to focus on the mission at hand, which was taking these young men and women into a combat zone. But I didn't make it to Iraq either. So during my training, I didn't feel very well. And I would often tell my superiors that I didn't feel very well. But everybody knows the Army's motto, suck it up and drive on, right? You know, hey, sir, I didn't feel well today, but did you die? No, so I guess I'm good. So Hurricane Katrina actually was a bit of a blessing for me because they did do a 2-week pause X for anyone who had household goods that they were able to salvage. I didn't have anything, so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go get a quick checkup. I think I'm okay. I think it's just fatigue. It's in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It's very hot. It's probably just a little bit drained. So I went and got a checkup, got a call 2 weeks later from the hospital doctor to come and get my test results. I advised him, I said, sir, I have deployment training today. It's mandatory, and can you just tell me over the phone that I'm okay? And he says, well, due to HIPAA laws, you have to come in and receive your test results. And so I go over to the hospital, I walk into the doctor's office, and the first thing he says is, sit down. Those are like the 2 words you never want to hear when you walk into a doctor's office. I'm still not thinking anything, and I said, well, you know what, sir, I really got to get back, so you can just let me know that I'm okay, and I'll be on my way. And he says, Lieutenant, I'm not asking you to sit down, I'm telling you. We all know how rank structure works in the military, so I take a seat, obviously. And he then tells me that my test results did not come back favorable. I was not going to be able to deploy, and he wasn't sure about the rest of my military career or my health. And I said, so what's wrong? And he says, we found a large malignant mass in your head, neck, and throat area. I am a human resources officer by trade, so I have no idea what that means. And so I said, what exactly does that mean, sir? And he says, you have cancer. And you have a rare form of cancer called adenoid cystic carcinoma, which is very aggressive. You are stage 3. You need to be operated on immediately and go through treatment. And at that point, my whole world just stopped. I had to do 2 very hard things in that moment. I had to go back to my troops We were 30 days out from shipping to Iraq. We've built our little family. We've gone through our whole forming, norming, and storming stages of leadership in our platoon. And now I have to tell them that I can't go with them. I have to put them in somebody else's hands when I just promised them that I would go all the way with them. That was a very hard thing to do as a leader. But you also have to realize that a leader, when you have limitations, you have to have somebody else, allow someone else to step up in your place. And that's why we have our brothers and sisters on our left and right when we serve. So the second thing I had to do was contact my aunt, who had my son in her care. And I advised her that I have cancer and I have to go get treated. And she says, well, what do you want me to tell Brandon, who is now my airman? He was around 10 or 11 at the time. And I said, well, I'm going to need you to lie to him. And I don't want him to be worried about me. Regardless of what happens to me, I want him to be a very happy little boy. And so she said, if that's what you want, then I respect your wishes. And so I spent the next 6 months at Brooke Army Medical Center down in San Antonio, Texas. So I was housed at Brooke Army Medical Center, but I was actually treated at Lackland Air Force Base. And so I always tell people that an airman saved my life because the surgeon was an airman. And so in return, I gave you guys a son. You're welcome. But during the time I was there, my son would call me, and because I was getting head, neck, and throat radiation, my voice always sounded very bad. And he would say, Mom, why do you sound like that? And he's like, what's going on over there in Iraq? And I said, well, baby, the insurgents, they're putting things in the air, and that's why Mommy sounds like this. I would just make up little colorful stories just to kind of, drag him along. But he was a good kid, and he still is a good kid. But it was very hard to keep having those conversations with him, not really knowing what was going to happen to Mommy. I was his only parent. I was pretty much all he had. And so I would just pray every day, for God to get me through it. And after 2 surgeries and 30 cycles of radiation, the cancer was in remission. And that was actually the easy part of my journey. So, because I have no unit to go back to New Orleans because it's still underwater, there's no rear detachment, so I don't have any mission back there. My unit has deployed to Iraq, so they're gone. I have no home or job to go back to because of Hurricane Katrina. And so that left me homeless and jobless. I advised my leadership at the Medical Hope facility, and they said, oh, don't worry because you can go to the Department of Veterans Affairs and they'll have services for you. I had never heard of my generation era veterans going to the Department of Veterans Affairs. I always thought it was just for Vietnam era veterans, but apparently the VA was for everyone. So I went to the VA, kind of gave them the shorter version of the story that you just heard, and I said, okay, well, so those events have left me jobless and homeless, and I was told to come here because I'm a veteran. And that said, yes, you're a veteran, but you're a woman. I said, yeah, last time I checked. And she said, well, we don't have any services for women veterans. But you mentioned that you had an illegitimate child, so you should go get on welfare and food stamps like other women in your situation. And that was probably the hardest thing that I was ever told. And that equated to me that because I was a woman, my service didn't matter. Meanwhile, we've deployed over 40,000 single mothers to Iraq and Afghanistan that in spite of being mothers and wives, we've still fulfilled our obligations and done our duty. But we're an afterthought. And this is 2005, 2006, and we've been serving for many, many years, even dating back beyond the Revolutionary War, disguised as men. And that really just didn't sit right well with me. I didn't know what to do at the time. So I called my aunt up and I said, can I crash on your couch? She had 2 boys of her own. They were in a 2-bedroom. And so she said, of course. So my son hunkered down with her kids, and I slept on her couch for the next couple of months. And I sat there every day just feeling sorry for myself, feeling defeated. But I quickly realized that no one was RSVPing to my pity party. And I was like, you know what? You have to get up and do something for yourself. And people say, man, Jas, that must have been a courageous thing for you to get off that couch and do something. Courage had nothing to do with me getting off that couch. It was fear. I have found fear to be a very great motivator throughout my journey. Because when you are afraid to fail, you will do everything that you need to succeed. So you guys are students here, right? Do you get up and go to class every day because you're courageous? You go because you're scared, right? Because, if you don't go to class, you're going to get an F+, and your parents are not going to like that. So, but I knew that I had and I also knew that I didn't want my son to see me in that state and think that just because bad things happen to you, that it's okay to give up. So I was really fearful of what he would think and of how he would grow, and he would have challenges, and if he would just accept them as, hey, this bad thing happened, so now this is just my life. And that wasn't my life, and that wasn't a person that I wanted to be, and that wasn't a person that I wanted him to be. But fear is a lot stronger than courage. So I got up off the couch. I went and I found myself a job. A couple months later, I got an active duty position with the Army National Guard and ended up relocating to the DC area. So up until that point, I had never heard about other homeless women veterans. So I figured, maybe it just happened to me. Maybe the VA doesn't have any programs because this was just something that happened to me. Nobody makes a program for one person. But it's very ironic. The closer you get to DC, the more you found out how bad things really are. And so I'm now a captain in the Army National Guard. I had just come back from a deployment to Kosovo. And I happened to be home watching an Oprah show. And I called the veteran Alicia, who was living out of her car. And I said, well, my situation happened a few years ago. Certainly things have gotten better. So I went into research and looked for housing for homeless women veterans and just services for women veterans. And I still found nothing. And I said, you have to be kidding me. I have friends who are women who are double amputees and that suffer from, PTSDs and other service-connected injuries. So to still be an afterthought in 2010, at that point I said, you know what, this is unacceptable. And then at that point again, I remember my commitment to never leave a fallen comrade. And so instead of complaining about how bad and broken the system was, I decided to put together a solution. And that solution became Final Salute, Inc. So in 2010, since starting this organization, the video is a little bit dated. We've actually raised over $2 million for homeless women veterans and their children. We've supported over 2,000 women veterans and children in over 30 states and territories. And we've done all of this without federal funding, which is ironic because the VA sends more women to us than any other source. But that's cool. But what this whole journey has taught me, I've learned one very important lesson, that you don't need a cape to be someone's hero. You only need to care and be willing to do the work. And why is the work that I do so important for women veterans? So as you will hear the honor roll from your state, that's going to be read a little bit later, you will notice that there will be women among the fallen. We've also served and sacrificed, and some have made the ultimate sacrifice. War doesn't gender discriminate. IEDs do not gender discriminate. So we as Americans have to stop discriminating and take care of veterans equally regardless of their gender. So being a disabled veteran has posed challenges for me, and it's an everyday struggle. I have several issues, but the hardest one I have that I struggle with every day and battle with is major depressive disorder. I know most veterans don't like to talk about their issues, but I'm sharing mine with you for two reasons. One is to let my brothers and sisters know that they're not alone, and the second one I'm going to illustrate to you. So I need 5 volunteers to come up on stage and help me with a really quick exercise. So in the military, when you don't volunteer, we have this thing called voluntold. So you can come willingly. Okay, so just stand right across there. Pass this down, please. So, can everybody still hear me okay? Okay, so we experience different things and different challenges through our military service. And sometimes we come back with things that we can't get rid of. Some of those things could be PTSD, depression, illness, injuries, or wounds. So, can everybody take your pencil and break it in half? And give me the end that doesn't write. Now with the end that does write, please write your name really big across the paper. Now everyone show the audience your paper. Dealing with any numbers of these issues can leave you feeling broken. But as they have just illustrated, a broken pencil still writes. Now with that same pencil, take it and draw a heart on your paper. Show it to the audience again. Now, if you're a veteran, can you please stand? And can you put your right hand across your heart? And everyone else who has a veteran in their family, can you please stand? It could even be a friend. And also put your hands across your heart in solidarity. So for my brothers and sisters who battle with these issues, and for those of you who may have family members or friends who battle with this issue, less than 1% of this country has what you feel right now. And that's the heart of a warrior. So regardless of what difficulties that you face in your life, as long as you feel this, you're not broken, and you still have a lot of life to live. The issues that deal with our veterans are so much more than we can deal with alone. And all of you in here are their battle buddies. Talk to them. Take them out for a beer. I like wine. You can give me wine. But it's going to take more than one administration to support our veterans. And everyone in here is part of that coalition. So do I have everybody's word that you're going to be part of that coalition? Yes? Well, thank you. You are part of the solution. I'm Major Jas Booth, and again, thank you for your time today. I didn't know, so.
For Jazz now that is signed on your monitor.
Thank you. Okay, you know, I'm sorry. I don't want to hold that up. I'll be available afterwards, so I don't want to, my bad. You know what? I'll just grab this when y'all are done.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sergeant First Class Chris Armitage. I'm the Army representative for the area. It was an honor for me to come in and read the names of the honor roll. Thank you for having me. I'm going to start off with the names. Jason B. Jones, Patrick H. Quinn, Patrick C. Hawkins, Thomas A. Basor Jr., Merrick Soja, Matthew P. Ruffner, Jarrett M. Yoder, Job W. Price, Nicholas D. Cheku, Christopher K. Rabel, Eric S. Holman, Brandon R. Pepper, Cameron J. Stambaugh, Michael C. Braden, Brian R. Bell, Michael J. Strange, Daniel L. Zerb, Patrick R. Dolphine, Christopher M. Wrinkle, Edward W. Kohler, Brian K. Mowry, Kenneth R. Van Giesen, Kenneth B. Elwell, Joseph M. Garrison, Edward D. Mills, Demetrius M. Frison, Benjamin F. Bittner, John F. Keem, Robert C. Sison Jr., Jared L. King, Mark M. Torbert Jr., Justin E. Schmalsteig, John F. Flannery, Anthony Vargas, Dale J. Cridlow, Dave J. Weigel, Ralph J. Fabry, Joshua A. Harton, Joshua T. Twig, Abram L. Howard, Jesse D. Reed, Louis R. Festuca, David A. Jefferson, Joseph D. Caskey, Robert J. Fike, Brian A. Hoover, Derek L. Shanfield, Richard J. Tiemann, Austin Gates Benson, Nathan P. Kennedy, Larry M. Johnson, Michael L. Freeman Jr., Michael P. Shannon, Matthew N. Ingham, Serge Kropov.
Glenn H. Stuyvesant Jr., Brandon M. Steyer, Andrew H. McConnell, Jonathan M. Walls, Ryan H. Lane, Joshua J. Reimer, Michael W. Heed Jr., William D. Vile, Anthony L. Williams, Mark J. Small. David W. Wallace III. Michael Slobodnik. Michael R. Dinterman. Keith A. Callahan. Thomas E. Vanling, Jr. David E. Dietrich. Edward W. Schaefer. John T. Bubbick. J. S. Moon. Brent W. Dunkelberger. Ross A. McGinnis. Albert M. Nelson. John R. Priestner. Tony L. Neer. Daniel A. Brozovich. Russell G. Culbertson III. Christopher E. Loudon. Joseph M. Kane. Timothy J. Lauer. Shelby J. Feniello. Carl W. Johnson II. Roger A. Napper. Alan R. Bevington. Jennifer M. Hartman. Justin W. Dries. Tristan C. Smith. Jason M. West. Stephen W. Froon. Robert A. Seidel III. Adam C. Conboy. Stephen P. Snowberger III. David M. Faverka. Brandon M. Hardy. Travis C. Zimmerman. Mark W. Melcher. Eric A. McIntosh. Jacob W. Beisel. Frederick A. Carlson. Randy D. McCauley. Albert P. Gettings. Michael E. McLaughlin. Isaiah E. Santos. Michael J. Cleary. Keith A. Bennett. Brent A. Adams. Dylan R. Paytez. Jeffrey P. Toslowski.
Daniel R. Leitner, Jr. Stephen Swastick. Jason L. Frey. Patrick P. Kenny. Daniel L. Arnold. Oliver J. Brown. George A. Polugsky. Eric W. Sabloindike. L. E. Wigand. Michael Egan. William L. Evans. William V. Fernandez. Jeremy M. Campbell. Nathaniel E. DeTemple. John Kulik. Ryan S. Ostrom. Gennaro Pellegrini, Jr. Francis J. Straub, Jr. Bram J. Jeffcoat. Kurt E. Kraut. Niles G. Thompson. Joseph P. Goodrich. Ryan J. Kowalczyk. Robert E. Hall, Jr. Joshua P. Klinger. Lewis E. Allen. Douglas E. Cashmar. Robert T. Meninger. Victor M. Cortez III. Carl J. Morgan. Andrew R. Joden. Kenneth E. Zegler II. Thor H. Ingram. Michael A. Marzono. Michael W. Franklin. Landon S. Giles. Kyle J. Grimes. Brett D. Swank. Michael J. Smith. Paul D. Koropich. Kyle J. Renham. Michael R. Cohen. Joseph M. Nolan. Sean P. Huey. Lonnie D. Wells, Mark P. Fallon, Aaron J. Russin, Andrew W. Brown, Rodney A. Jones, Gregory A. Fox, Clifford L. Moxley, Jr., Joshua J. Henry, Brandon E. Adams, Barton R. Hummons, Nicholas P. Morrison, Neil Anthony Santarello, Nicholas J. Zangra.
Dale T. Lloyd, Sean M. Davies, John H. Todd III, Bradley N. Coleman, Jeremy R. Horton, Carl F. Curran, Mark J. Kosecki, Bradley G. Kreitzer, Ronald E. Baum, Martin W. Conder, Sherwood R. Baker, Edward W. Carmen, Jonathan R. Kephart, Eric J. Barr, Sean R. Mitchell, Matthew J. Sandry, Clint Richard Matthews, Edward W. Brabazon, William R. Sturges, Jr., Christopher A. Golby, Kimberly A. Voels, Timothy L. Hazlett, Joseph Minucci II, Nicholas A. Tomko, Ernest G. Bucklew, Maurice J. Johnson, David R. Bernstein, Douglas J. Wisemantle, Tamara J. Ramos, Andrew Joseph Baddick, Christopher E. Cutchall, Brian R. Fonts, Rafael L. Nevea, Anthony L. Sherman, Eric R. Hall, Craig S. Ivory, Timmy R. Brown, Jr., William J. Maher III, Gerard C. Puelo Coronado, Corey L. Small, Christopher D. Coffin, Michael T. Gleason, Zachariah W. Long, Stephen A. Booker, Tristan N. Atkin, Donald S. Oakes, Jr., Joseph B. Maglione, Christopher Scott Seifert, Jonathan L. Lucier, Michael R. Giordano, Douglas J. Bull, Derek D. Holland, Jeffrey F. DePrimo, Matthew W. Brown, Richard J. Berrettini, David A. Boris, Patrick F. Kutzbach.
Jan M. Argonish, Scott R. Ball, Arthur L. Lilly, Christopher C. Rafferty, Thomas D. Mahalik, James F. Fordyce, Jonathan E. McCauley, Brian D. Willard, John T. Frelish, Troy S. Azernak, Brett M. Hershey, Paul A. Sweeney, Christopher P. Geiger, James R. Dillon, Ross E. Vogel III, Robert D. Ulmer, Chad A. Edmondson, Mark C. Baum, Christopher W. Lauder, Brian P. House, Ralph J. Marino, Travis M. Stottlemyre, Daniel R. Verbeek, James M. Young, Joshua E. Waltenbaugh, Jason C. Kazarek, Sean M. Such, Nathan R. Rodenbush, Luke S. Runyon, Timothy R. Van Orman, Michael E. Koch, Ryan D. Masseth, David A. Weger, Adam J. Chichan, David A. Cooper, Jr., Eric M. Foster, Michael J. Tully, Michael A. Hook, Cami Florexel, Zachary R. Clauser, Scott R. Smith, Raymond R. Buchan, Larry Parks, Jr., Robert H. Dembowski, Alan J. Dunkley, Colby J. Umbrella, Travis L. Mannion, Jeremy E. Maresh, Stephen R. Tudor, Aaron M. Genevieve, Jason A. Schaefer, Curtis J. Forche, Sean M. Thomas, Orlando E. Gonzalez, Dennis J. Veter, Ashley L. Moyer, Luis O. Rodriguez Contreras, Wesley J. Williams, Matthew C. Bowe, Todd M. Siebert, Russell A. Kurtz, Brandon J. Van Perries, Mark T. Resch. This concludes the honor roll reading.
Our program is concluded now, but we would like to make a couple acknowledgments. We would certainly like to recognize any family members of those heroes that were read today, if they're present. If you could please stand. Thank you. And many thanks to all our veterans that Jas has recognized today. We are going to have a reception afterwards, but if there's anybody that would like to witness the cannon salute at the end, we have two greeters in the back, Daley Fuller and Jordan Travis. If you would like to see the cannon firing, you can leave with them now, and then we'll go upstairs for the reception. Thank you so much for your presence today. I don't want to mess with your things.
I know, I'll pack it.